so the second episode of the amazing digital circus is finally released after 6 long months, which is not too bad for a pilot for a show that's just starting out. Usually when a show is pilot is produced, there's like a couple years between the pilot and the final show. But no, I guess with indie animation, it's much faster since you're not under the control of corporate overlords, I guess. And sure, episodes do take longer to release due to you not having as much money as a traditional show would, but you get to release episodes faster if you plan everything out more. Which I guess is what they're doing now with this show. So anyway, up to episode 2. Oh yeah, and the reason why I didn't get to do episode 1 is because I didn't have a proper mic like I have now, and so I did try doing content for the first episode with like my old iPhone headphones, but that audio sounded terrible, so I just scrapped it. So yeah, this is why I'm starting with episode 2 as opposed with episode 1. And so now onto the plot. Starts out with Kane sending. Well, actually, it starts out with Pomni having a dream sequence. Like, it starts out with her starting to abstract and her character's just abandoning her, like she's worthless. Seems like Pomni still has like a bit of insecurities over that. Maybe she's like afraid that she'll start to corrupt if she like. Maybe she's afraid she'll start to corrupt if she keeps like having these existential crises and everything. But yeah, that's the very first part of the episode. So the actual plot of the episode begins with Kane sending Pomni and her friends off to the Candy Canyon Kingdom to help them like replenish their either protect or replenish their load of maple syrup, which is their most useful resource in that area of that universe, I guess. And so then the episode goes into this huge Mad Max chase, which is like that entire sequence is hilarious. My favorite part of that whole sequence is Jax just being completely abusive to his friends, mainly Jangle. Like he keeps just like beating down on her, not physically but emotionally. And he does end up throwing Pomni out of the truck and forcing her to be the bridge. Like he was intending to climb over her to be the bridge. And so she's like all stretched out in like this very cartoonish fashion. And then they do end up like crashing the entire truck off a canyon. Candy Canyon Kingdom, get it? So yeah, they end up crashing the entire truck off a canyon. Now, interestingly enough, Pomni and this other guy named Gummy Goo, the gummy crocodile thing, somehow end up out of bounds, as I like to call it, while the others just end up in the Fudge Ocean at slightly higher above them. And what happens is that Gummy Goo just ends up having this complete mental breakdown over discovering like there's a bunch of copies of him and his friends down there, and so he ends up realizing that he's not real in the sense, and so he just has a complete and like an utter mental breakdown over the fact that he isn't real. Now Pomni does end up trying to console him after that. Like, she's actually a pretty nice character in this episode as opposed to her in episode 1, where she was just scared for the entire episode. That's the reason I didn't really like her in episode 1, but in episode 2 she is a much nicer character now. And she ends up trying to console Gummy Goo and trying to make sure that he he doesn't go insane, basically. And she doesn't want to just leave him there. That entire plot point of Pomni and Gummy Goo ending up out of bounds reminds me of the sequence in Inside Out where Joy and Bing Bong end up in like the Forgotten Memories pit, and like the way they escape is very similar to that. The only difference there is that there is no sacrifice. No one character gets left behind. But yeah, that's basically the whole episode. Jax ends up blowing up like the entire kingdom at the end of the episode, and they just run away. They don't come back to that. At the end of the episode, they end up having a funeral for like a missing character we saw in the intro of the first episode called Kafumo, I think. Kafumo? Yeah, Kafumo. Yeah, they ended up having a funeral for them. Apparently, they were going to have a funeral for them like right before Pomni appeared, but since she appeared, like they sort of threw out the whole schedule, so they ended up having a funeral in this episode. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that Pomni tries to bring back a Gummy Goo to the circus, but Kane just ends up killing him essentially, or like teleporting him. He does something to him. He's just not there anymore, and that causes Pomni to have yet another existential breakdown. Which, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really want that to be a thing for all these episodes. Like if Pomni's just gonna be that character that has a mental breakdown every episode, like, that's not fun. It's not really funny to watch. I don't really get that. I guess it's part of the show's whole dark humor type thing, but like that is not my that's not one of my favorite things to say. One of my favorite parts of this episode is Ragatha, though. She seems like she was my favorite character from episode 1, and she still remains my favorite character in episode 2. But back in episode 1, though, she reminded me of a more cheerful Enid from OKKO. Let's Be Heroes, if anyone's seen that show. But now she reminds me more of Molly McGee from The Ghost in Molly McGee, except a bit more emotionally mature. She isn't always happy-go-lucky all the time. I think she's later, legitimately trying to become friends with Pomni because she thinks that Pomni just doesn't like her all that much. Which I could see from how Pomni has been acting over the past 2 episodes, but yeah. There's not really much I dislike about this episode though. You can't really think of any more negatives other than that. Other than I don't like Pomni having the mental breakdown again. Her one attempt at being happy is just taken away from Kane, but it's taken away by Kane, I should say. But other than that, there really isn't anything bad I would like to say about the episode. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is the fudge monster at the bottom of the fudge ocean. I don't know. Apparently he was banished there by the queen of the Canyon Candy Kingdom. Jesus. That is hard to say. Yeah, so he was banished there, and we don't know how long he's been there for. He could have been there for years, months, days, or something. But the most interesting part of this episode has to be the out of bounds part. How did Pomni and Gummy Goo specifically end up down there? What did they do differently that the others didn't? I guess this is a world where it runs on video game physics in a way. That, they just did something weird. Something different that the other group didn't, that just had them end up out of bounds. Because that happens in video games a lot. Not even just the glitchy ones, but in relatively stable games too. You can end up out of bounds just by doing random stuff, and that you can just do by doing random stuff in any environment. So yeah, there's that part. I kind of wish we got to see more of that place. Honestly, now thinking about it. Yeah, that was really fun to see. The funeral scene near the end was pretty nice too. It's nice that they're remembering their old friend. But I wish we just got to know Kafumo more. I just wish we got to know them more. Who were they? What happened to them? I'm assuming that's going to be revealed later on in the show. This is just episode 2, and I have a feeling Kane's just Bill Cipher again. He's this crazy maniac that jokes around a lot. It reminds me a lot of Bill Cipher, so I'm assuming we're gonna have a similar twist to with him in that show, in this show. So yeah, but yeah, this is really just my thoughts on episode 2. Can't really think of anything more to say here, so I'm just gonna end it here. Comment your opinions down below, and goodbye.